All right, let's get right into it. This is episode 17 of Jenny's Rules. I've got a very special guest today, Brittany Babino with Refined Realty.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
If this is difficult, I'm going to straight out say, because we've been friends for so long, I'm trying to be professional here. I'm trying to show.
And I'm trying to get you to not be professional.
I know. Let's loosen. Cheers
Have
to
another
this.
drink.
Have another drink. Cheers.
Thanks.
All right. So, first question. It's like Jeopardy.
I'm ready.
How long have you been in the industry?
I was doing the math on this last night because I'm not good. I always reference the year.
Yeah.
So since 2016, so September was 7 years. So next year will be 8 years that I've been in the real estate industry.
I did not realize it was that long.
Yeah, it's been.
I mean, full licensed and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, well, I guess so. I started working in the real estate industry in 2016, and then I got licensed a couple months after that. So
you don't add that in to your year?
No, I count from my start date is September.
Okay.
So that's I got into the business in September 2016, and so that's what I count as I don't go from when I got licensed, but it was shortly after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember those days.
Yeah.
Drove up to your test.
Yes. You helped me a couple times.
It was a good time.
Had a baby.
Oh my gosh, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
She was a little thing.
Yeah, that was, it only took me several times to pass my test.
It took me
it's
a few.
hard.
So hard.
And it was so annoying because you had to drive up to Spokane.
The ethics part of my test got me every time. I hate ethics,
I
but I'm an ethical person.
I don't remember the part that got me. It's it's frustrating because they don't tell you what you get wrong. You know this, you got X percentage.
Yes. In each
section.
category.
And so it's okay, well, what questions did I miss? So it was, I'm glad that part of my life is over.
Continuing ed.
Yes.
You have to do.
I do that. Yes. Well, I did it last year. So it's
So then
every
you get to
2 years. Yeah. Every 2 years. I
For
think you
both.
guys have to do way more. It's
Every
every year for you, right?
Every year.
Yeah.
I got it down to the wire.
Yeah. That's usually me. Yeah.
I hate it.
Almost to the point where I'm not licensed.
on the
Just
on
kidding.
the edge.
Yeah. No, I usually. But that's how I was in school and stuff too. I always did my essays the night before they were due.
This is Darrow is too.
Yeah, I'm not.
You wouldn't even study.
Yeah.
No, I get test anxiety and I just
Well,
out.
so do you have to take a test every time you do it? Go in
so,
and
no,
so it's
not
not
like
okay.
that formal, but you at the end of each course you have to take this.
Yeah, that's what I
however
have to do.
long, and you
Yeah.
have to get a certain percent. And it's
Yep.
snooze, but
Mhm.
those ethics. I mean, it's not even they're big ethical, bad. It's just whichever one's the right one.
Yeah.
Apparently, I'm not ethical minded. That sounds terrible when I say it like that.
No,
But testing.
it's sometimes the questions or the answers.
They do it.
What you would what
Yes.
you feel is ethical.
They do it on purpose.
Isn't what they do
Yes.
on paper
No.
ethical. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's awful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's talk of how you got started. I mean,
I got started.
or what drove you to the industry?
So it's kind of unconventional. I used to work for Jessica Bean, and I worked for her for a couple of years, but I worked for her outside of the real estate industry. I used to babysit for Jessica and Kyle, and I worked at the daycare that they took their son to, and so that's how I met them, and then I babysat for him, and I would always use Jess and Kyle's references for jobs and stuff I was applying to. And at the time, I wasn't even inquiring, but Jess had reached out to me. I was like, I'm hiring a new assistant. You should apply. And so I did. And I know that they were really on the fence about it because I think number one, they didn't want to lose their babysitter. And I think they'd say that too. But and then I think just mixing the personal and business life together. But they took a chance on me, and I was pregnant with my first son at the time, Ashton. And so that's kind of how I got into it. I never, I've thought about this a lot. I don't remember, driving around and noticing real estate signs. Real estate was never something that I'm yeah, I want to be a real estate agent, or I love houses or anything like that. It was just, it kind of just fell in my lap.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, that's how I got started. And I mean, that was 7.5 or 7 years ago.
A
And
blink.
yeah, it does feel like a blink.
And since, the refined change, that has been very recent.
Yes. Yep.
And
Thanksgiving. Yeah.
is this something that you have been thinking about?
I mean, yes and no. Like it was, like when we started at Keller Williams, it was a really small group of people. And when, that small group of people, it's like you get pretty close and tight knit and everything like that. And, it just was a small office. And I think as we grew, I didn't realize how much I was needing or wanting the smaller feel of an office and just being like this really close group where like you were close with everybody.
Knew
and
everybody.
Yeah, like and I mean I knew everybody at KW and I still like I love everybody. But I think there was a lot of success in that office, which is amazing. It grew really quickly and I don't know that anybody anticipated growing as quickly as it did. And so, I mean, I think subconsciously, just like this last year and going through a lot of like change and, having a baby and I always realign. Like, I feel like I don't ever want the same thing 2 years in a row. And so, it wasn't something that I've been like thinking about for a really, really long time. But I think once the idea or like that, like once it clicked what I felt like I was missing, then that's when I decided to kind of make the change.
Things
So,
fell into place. Yeah.
yeah.
Meant to be.
Yep.
Have you, just dabbling in the office? How's the realm of things in the new?
It's really good.
What are some challenges that you have to do when moving brokerages?
I think there's kind of a lot of things you have to think about. Like, so it's just different from when I switched the last time. So, from being at Century 21 and then going to KW Lewiston, I was in a different spot in my business. Like at that time, I was transitioning from, working for somebody else to starting my own business.
Independent.
And so, at that point, I was focusing on building my business. And I'd say moving my business is a little different. There's different things. I mean, the act of moving itself isn't too crazy, but it's like kind of getting everything in line to let your clients know that you've moved and kind of, having those conversations again. So like the move itself isn't too crazy.
Licensing? Does that?
It was really easy. It's just
really?
switch. Yeah. Like, I mean, Sarah, my new broker, just went in and pulled it. And yeah, it was really easy. It was done.
Oh, wow.
Like, switch from offices is
that's cool.
really quick. Yeah. It wasn't. The bigger thing is I think just, it almost feels like a breakup. Like I loved KW's list and I still do. I love, the people there. And, but I think for me, it was just, that was like the hardest thing was like having that conversation of, letting somebody know that you're deciding to leave and move on to something different. And yeah, that was the hardest thing. But the office vibe is great. I mean, I'm working with a lot of people that I already knew. I mean, I've known Sarah for years. She's who got me hired when I worked for Dr. Wilkinson in orthodontics. Yeah. So before real estate, so Sarah got me on there. So I've known Sarah for a really long time. And it's a great group of people and I'm excited to be a part of it.
I'm excited for you too. Yeah. Some of the things that you do personally for, yourself, you do the stocking stuffer thing. And is that something that you're going to carry on through?
Yeah. So this year was my 4th annual, I think.
I can give it to.
Can't keep track, but that's something I enjoy doing. I've always been passionate about kids and like working in a daycare. I used to work at the Boys and Girls Club and babysitting and all that stuff. And so I just have a soft spot for kids and within the community. And I think there's just such a need for, helping those kids, like whether it be, I know they have like the closet that you can donate clothes to. So I always tell people like, don't give your clothes to Goodwill, go donate them to the high school or the elementary school. Cause those kids don't have to pay for it. And I mean, if you've got stuff that you're going through to just donate to those places, but like the stocking, the Stuff the Bag program, I think my old assistant at the time, we were talking about ways that we could contribute. And, we talked about this, but stockings are one of my favorite parts about Christmas. And I think, I know that there is so many people that contribute to, like, during the holidays and get gifts for these kids and everything. And so I think still adding that little magical piece of Christmas with the stockings and like the little fun things that you get in the stocking. That was really the goal, was to be able to make sure that those kids had this too. Because I think, like I said, a lot of them get hit with, they get the presents and not, I don't know who all gets them, but at least the kids, the list that I get is from the social workers at the school directly. And these are all the kids that go home with a bag of food on Fridays. So they're either homeless, and there's a lot of homeless kids in the Valley, homeless or, severe poverty. And so, yeah, this was just a way to make sure that those kids got a little something special too, outside of, the gifts and stuff, just the magical piece. Yeah.
But how do you feel, when I'm thinking of new things to do for business wise and promoting, I feel like that took off. Was it something that you have done in other realms, in other, like, throughout the year things?
So in the past I've tried to do like, kind of like an Easter egg thing, kind of similar to the stockings. But really I think where it started, and maybe I can't remember which came first, but, when COVID happened, Printcraft was printing all those signs for seniors. And so I thought it was cool, and I tried to contribute and get signs for people, in all the surrounding communities. And so just kind of giving back to the community I just enjoy doing that. I think that, it's just, especially for people who maybe can't necessarily do it on their own.
Right.
I like that stuff. It makes me feel good.
It's not so much it's business. It's more that personal though. It fills your personal.
I think that seeing other people, like I've gotten cards from people for the stocking thing, and like, I don't know, just like knowing that it touches somebody, like, and I was thinking about this last year was, I hope that, maybe these gifts don't seem like a lot to some of these kids, but I hope that when they're an adult, that they look back and like, because it's not just me that's doing this. I mean, I coordinate it, but it is like there's multiple people from the office that have helped. Like I try to go to other businesses and get help. So it's not just me that's doing this. It's like, it's a community effort to give back to the community. But I hope that these kids, when they think back on these times, and hopefully they can get out of, the struggle that they're having or that they're in, and they look back and think that, that was really special. Like, that meant a lot to me at that time, and hopefully they can pay it forward to somebody else, if they're in a position to do so. So I just was thinking, I'm like, I wish I had some way to like track and see, because that would be cool to see.
Really
like,
cool.
It's kind of like starting that pay it forward piece,
Yeah.
I think like, okay, I was given back to or given to, and I want to give back somehow,
That's
like,
very cool.
Yeah, that's what I hope, but who knows?
Listen, I think it's going to be a lifelong, yearly, annual thing that you're going to just keep on going.
Yeah. I want to make it bigger. Like my goal is to be able to have all of the elementary schools within the Valley. Eventually, high school and stuff too, but we try to get, when we get this list of kids, like we get the entire family. So I think that I'm pinpointing, like, there's babies and stuff on the list, but like next year, I'm going to see if I can get a little bit more detail of like what the kids' interests are and stuff. So it's not so generic, and we can kind of tailor to it a little bit. And then hopefully in the works of like maybe doing like a Christmas dinner somehow. And I think that would be really cool
that'd be so sweet, especially like if they're, don't have that table setting kind of dinner. And
like, I don't know, like with Christmas just happening, like I think about that I think we take for granted like being in a warm house surrounded by people, like food on the table. Like there's not everybody gets that. And I think that it's humbling to think about that sometimes.
Oh yeah. Well, family time, however many years you've been in business, have you found that balance?
I don't know if like there really ever is a balance. I feel
like you have it pretty good. Like, but I don't know.
I think of I don't know that there's a balance, but my real estate coach, he's kind of ingrained this in me of like finding a harmony. Like, so that's the way that I look at it. Cause like a balance, I feel like is you have it stable. Like, and I don't always have it that way sometimes. Yeah, exactly. So I don't always have it like that. Like, I don't feel like it is balanced. I feel like sometimes I'm like a little heavier on the work side. And then sometimes I feel like I'm a little heavier on the family side.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, so I guess in the scheme of things, maybe it balances out throughout the year, but I feel like I've found a good harmony for my family. And so, that was something that was really important to me. And I think it also comes just from like working for yourself too, like, being independent. And I think that has a lot to do with it is that, I don't really have to answer to anybody else. I get to make my own schedule. But I try to be disciplined in that in the same token. And so I think, finding that like harmony, that's the way that I look at it is like a harmony thing versus balance. Cause I don't know that you can really like, I just think of balance as being even and
nothing.
I mean, and I guess I don't know. That's physics and that's way over my head. So I think that's physics, science is not my thing. So
it's gravity.
Maybe. Yeah, sure. If you say so.
Let's take a bean from that side, put it on that one. I just feel for the years, that you've had under your belt, besides the COVID, being a pretty high time, had you known anything else like as a high, or is that the highest? Like,
do you mean like
busy? I guess I would say
like busyness.
Yeah.
So COVID was 2020 was my first year as an individual agent, like my first full year. And so I didn't really know what to expect. I just knew like I wanted to get into coaching. So I'd sign up for coaching right away.
Through
KW. And so I signed up for coaching right away, and that was the best thing I ever did. I feel like I had the upper hand to a lot of people getting into the business because I knew how to do the contracts, negotiate. I knew the lingo. I knew that side of things. What I didn't know was how to build my business. And that's what my coach helped me with, and like being strategic and intentional and setting goals, which I never really did before. And so, COVID, that year, I just didn't know what to expect. And it was a really great year. I think I did 35 units, 35 transactions my first year. And then from then on, it just kind of grew. And, this year I'm down a little bit, but I'm like, I feel like that. But I also don't know that I would have been if I wouldn't have taken time off and had a baby. Like, I just think that, I don't know, maybe I would have been, I don't know. I just feel like it was really important for me to take that time off and this is our last kid. And I was like present and, home, which I'm grateful for. Cause not, when you work for yourself, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Like it is hard to do. So
show the kiddos.
So yeah, I think that I didn't really know what to expect, but it was a good year.
Yeah.
And it got better from there.
Yeah.
So.
And then the down times, trying to stay busy in those. What are some like things that you did that was maybe different than other people?
I think when I when I went out on my own, one thing that I just told myself was that I'm never going to have a client that doesn't know who the real estate agent is, because you'd be surprised that there are some people that don't know who they worked with, couldn't tell you the name of their realtor, and that was just something that was my mission, was like, I'm never going to have people that don't know who I am or who they worked with. Like, that's just not going to happen. It's just not possible. So
that's how I feel.
I know, it's
because it's it's either all on the phone or email. And then when I see them in person, like I tried to go to their closings and they're like, oh yeah, that's
face to name.
And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. And it's a little different because I think I get a little bit more of that face-to-face action. But building the relationships is really important to me. Like, I think I'm good at not making people feel like it's just a deal to me. Like, I really do feel like I have people that know that they can come to me whenever. I think that's one of the biggest compliments to me is I had somebody reach out to me and ask me a question about real estate, and just the thought of somebody like thinking of me just to ask me a question, even if it doesn't mean that I'm going to get business from it, which is great. Like, I think that is such a compliment that, like, oh, you thought of me to ask a real estate question. Like, I love that. So that's where I feel like I'm doing the right thing. And so just to answer your question, I think really focused on building relationships, you know, staying in touch with people. Like, I mean, I think we all automate things. Yeah, I think we all automate things, and I try. I mean, I utilize some of those tools too because it does make it nice. But I think really trying to have true interactions with people, like, I think has been one thing that's really helped me.
Yeah,
is just continuing to nurture and build those relationships even after a closing.
And a long-term relationship, and even like they carry your name and it just spreads more.
Yeah.
Do you consider like coaching yourself? Like,
I've thought
opportunity.
I've thought about it. Like, I think that there's a lot of like chips that have to fall into place, I think, for that to happen. And I just don't know that I'm quite ready for that. Like, but I would love that. I
feel like you'd be really good at it.
Thank you. I do enjoy like helping people. Like, I like new agents, or like, you know, if there's something I can help with, and teaching somebody. I used to want to be a teacher. Like, that's what I started to go to college for. And then I took an intro to education class, and I remember feeling like, nope, this is not what I want to do. And I don't know why. I don't know what it was.
Funny.
But I do enjoy teaching people. And so I think maybe someday coaching could be in the cards. I don't know. I
just think you talking about it, I can just see how like just passionate you are, and even giving like you're all in the information and making it kind of not for dummies.
Yeah.
But, you know, like a nicer way of putting things. But I just think you really would be great at that.
Thank you. Yeah. I think I would love to do. I think that would be like, I don't know,
long-term goal.
Maybe. I've talked about it with my coach, you know, every once in a while, but I think just with the age of my kids and stuff. So maybe later on down the road, I don't know. And it's also like, I don't know, you kind of get in your head a little bit like, you know, am I good
Don't
enough?
be like me. Don't be like me.
Am I good enough to be somebody's coach? Like, would anybody want to be a coach? I don't know. You just kind of like, I don't know, the monkey on your back.
Yes.
Like, you know, talking negative. So I try to not let that.
Not good enough. You are. Shut up.
Well, thank you.
I would think it'd be, you know, is this something that you've asked your coach, or like how they got into it?
I think I'm trying to remember, because my coach has been in the business for a long time. He's actually over in Maryland.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yep. He has a team over in Maryland. And
you've been with the same person
since I started. Yep. In the beginning of 2020. So his name is Jose. He's awesome. He's like, I have never met anybody who can think of analogies like on the flip of like, just like that. Like, we'll be having a coaching call, and he'll make an analogy about something, but he makes it to where it's like relatable and understandable. And I've never met anybody that can do that. So like, I think his like side gig I don't know if there's like an analogy maker or something like that. Like, it should be him because he's so good at it. But
is it like puns too? Is he good with puns?
I don't know if he's good at puns, but he's just like really good at like, we'll be talking about a specific problem or strategy, and he's really good at like, I think, for example, we were talking about like talking with clients about, you know, people waiting for the interest rates to come down, or like prices to come down. Like, I think something along those lines of that. But he was basically, because we were talking about golf and mat golfing and everything like this. So he's like, think about it as like golfing, and like you're chasing a golf ball down the hill. You want to get ahead of the ball. Like, just something like that. Like, it's so true. Like, that's, you know, you want to get ahead of, you know, the
real estate for dummies.
Yes,
I feel like that.
yes,
I understand.
Yes.
You give it in that lingo, and then I totally click. So.
Yeah. So he's really good at that. But he's been in the industry for a long time. Like, he's been through the last recession, and so I don't know how long he's been into, but he's very much like a servant leader. Like, he's just passionate about helping people, and that's why he's been my coach for, you know, last almost 4 years, 3 years, whatever it is.
And I would think you would think, is it a necessity or is it?
It is
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like if I had any advice to anybody getting into real estate, like even you, like,
Yeah.
like if you can get a coach, I mean, when I started, I was like, how am I going to pay for this? Cause it's not cheap. But to me,
It's like a subscription.
like I pay monthly for
Yeah.
it. And like, I just remember thinking like, how am I going to pay? Am I going to pay for this? Like, you know, my first year, I'm like not knowing how many deals I'm going to do and if I'm going to be successful. And it's an investment in yourself and it's more than paid for itself. And so I recommend anybody getting into the industry, even if you're not new to the industry, getting a coach because, and making sure it's the right fit. Cause I feel like I owe a lot of my success to being a part of coaching and kind of teaching me those things because I would have just been winging it. And I mean, I would have figured it out, I'm sure, but I think that he was a huge factor in helping me succeed. So
because you had that accessibility through KW, if someone was, didn't have that in their brokerage, how or what is the steps to like get that?
So there's a lot of different like consultant companies, like a lot of real estate coaching companies. So like Tom Ferry, he has one.
Okay.
Like you could Google real estate coaching and you'll find something or like life coaching. Like you could find a lot of different things. Like I think this is a KW affiliated company, but it's the one thing they offer coaching, but I don't think you have to be a KW agent to have it like you do with KW Maps coaching.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm going to have to figure something out with not being with KW anymore. But yeah, there's a lot of different options for people that like, I think, I'm trying to remember there was one that I know a couple lenders were using. But there's a bunch of different things to choose from. So hop on Google,
figure it out. Oh, that's great. I mean, that was one of mine, what was starting out. Cause I feel like you're now, you're not new and you're not, you're like, I don't know, would you say it?
I know. I don't know what I feel like I'm seasoned.
You are seasoned.
But also in the same token, like I think of other agents that have been in it for so long. And I don't know if like...
Are you marinating?
I think marinating might be a good word. Because I think of like seasoned agents like who went through the last recession. Like that's like in my mindset. Like I feel like I'm an agent. I know what I'm doing. But I think those agents that have been through the different markets, like that to me is seasoned. So... yeah, I think we'll say I'm still marinating.
More than one up and down.
Yeah, like just and different. Like,
yeah.
I think that's what I hear too is that it's just so different than it's a new market. So I think anybody navigating through this, like this is
all I know though.
Yeah, and it's not the same as like I think a lot of people want to compare the market to 2008 or whatever. And I wasn't in the business then. I was in high school, but but I think
I'm not going to say how old I am.
I'm just aged myself. But I think a lot of people compare it to then, and it's just so different. Like it's a new, like even I think the seasoned agents, they are trying to figure out how to navigate through this too, because at least from what I've heard, like talking to or seeing things online, different agents. So
I mean, especially with clients, I mean, because now like you have a whole realm of ages that you've worked with, old, young, middle, so trying to get them in the right realm of what's happening now and educating, what do you try to put forth for like prices? Like why do the people come to you and they're like, why is this price so?
Yeah. And I think, that's a really big thing of being like very immersed in the market and like, selling consistently. And maybe you're not closing consistently, but like you are in the know of what's happening in the market because it's changing rapidly.
Oh, yes.
And so I think
everybody's numbers change.
And I just think like, okay, you sold one house 6 months ago. Well, the market 6 months ago is different than the market now. And so I think just making sure, like I just try to stay in the know of what's happening in the market. And so, watching what's happening with closed stuff. And when you're looking at comps, like going back and I try to call the agent that sold the house and like, hey, what was the situation with this? Did you have multiple offers? Like, did you have a lot of showings in the beginning? Like, I think that all that stuff is really important information to know when you're going to a seller and you're trying to justify this price. And sometimes that price is less than what the seller's wanting, but like just really I try to really come with a lot of information so you know why. Like, and I always tell my sellers, like, I'm not pricing the house. You're not pricing the house. The market prices the house. The market is what tells us how to price. Like, you can put a number on it. That's fine. And we might get it. Like, and that'd be great. Like, and I'm willing to try something, but we also may not get it.
Need evidence.
And we may also get less. And, so I think it's just, I always go to people and say, like, real estate is a gamble. Like, I have no crystal ball. I have no way of knowing. The only thing that I can show you is the market and the evidence from past sales. That's the only dictation I have or indicator, I'm sorry, not dictation, indicator that I have of like where we should be. And I've been wrong before. Like, I'll be the first to admit that, Yeah. So that's why I say, like, you might get this price and we can try it, but we also have to be, realistic and know that, that's why I come with a presentation and I'm showing these and I have like specific.
Not written in stone.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not written in stone, but I try to go with as much evidence and research to prove why I think we should be at X price versus X price.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah. That was good.
Thanks.
That was very good. I felt very.
You feel informed?
I felt taught.
You done learned today.
Shake. So, I don't know why I haven't. Apparently, my last person I had on the podcast told me that I haven't asked this question in a while, which makes me very upset.
Okay.
But I used to ask people where their favorite neighborhood was.
Favorite neighborhood. I think mine. I love the Reno Edition. Like, that's my favorite.
That's where,
like, yeah. I love the houses. I love the way,
kind of outskirt.
Yeah, like kind of. And it's like, you have to be going, like, have a reason to go there. Like, it's not really like
There's nothing out there.
Yeah. Like, it's not really, I mean, well, the children's home and stuff is everywhere.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
But I mean, you've got that, but like, I don't know. I'm biased because that's like my hood, but I just like the houses around there. I just like, you're 5 minutes from like anything except the orchards, the East Orchards. Then you're like 20, 30 minutes away.
I feel like it's very like its own little, I don't know, not outskirt, but just like little.
It's like so just like a little suburb. I don't know. Like, I really enjoy that neighborhood.
I like your view too from your window.
Yeah, like you have just a nice view of the hill, and like all those houses kind of sit up and everybody has a different kind of view of something. So yeah, I like that neighborhood a lot, and I just like how close it is to like 5 minutes from Costco, 5 minutes from Winco, 5 minutes from the mall or whatever. Like you're just really close.
The hallway. I remember one point you were considering moving or adding on, and you added on.
Yes.
But was the location a big part of that?
Yeah. It was like, for us, we love our neighbors. We love the neighborhood. We love our house. Like we really do. And I think that was like the biggest thing was like, we just weren't ready to, like, we felt like we were making a sacrifice. And this kind of like leads me into like, I think being in this position recently helps me serve clients better too, because it's not always the right time for everybody to move. Like, and it wasn't the right time for us to move. And so I think being able to like be on that same level as people and being able to say like, if you're not in a position, like, I just not forcing the move on somebody. Right. And that's like where we felt very blessed to be like, okay, we can either stay or we can move. And we felt like we were making a sacrifice to move. And so we decided to stay put and do the addition, and we're glad we did. We love it. We love our new spot. And, it was kind of like, we felt like we got everything we wanted just by doing that. And so, but like I said, we were kind of house hunting again. Like we were looking at things, and then just so I guess my message to people is like, don't settle just because you want something. Like, I think finding, being patient and the right thing will happen when it's supposed to. Like, I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason.
That foot in the water where it was like that, that feeling of should you, and like you said, you had that feeling of maybe being in your client's position, and
which I think is like so important, that to be able to relate to clients, like
or give them the right like way to think of things that changed your mind, or
And I feel like, especially going through the process, going through the process of doing the addition, and I felt like it helped build my knowledge of like, I'd never had to go through getting permits before, and I've never, so
a new appraisal.
I feel like I'm more educated going through it myself, and like I felt like I got to be the guinea pig, and it like helped my business in the same aspect of being able to like, okay, you have this as an option. Like, maybe it's not the right time for you to sell.
Right.
Like, do you want to add on? Like, I can help walk you through that process. Like, just being able to like share and relate on that level, I think
for sure
was
huge.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, when everyone's like, statistics are trying to say like, oh, people in the first of the year need to start buying now because they're going to think in 2020, why didn't I buy, that same, and it's like, you can't force that or drive someone unless that, maybe financially they can, but they don't want to, aren't comfortable with it. So being able to educate that.
Yeah. I just think that's the biggest thing right now. And I see a lot of like agents like on TikTok and everything, like I see that stuff of like, I just am a firm believer that like you have to do what's best for you, and like it's okay that maybe right now is not the right time. Like, I think the right time will come along, and I don't think it should be forced. And I mean, there's some people that don't have a choice, but like if you have the luxury of being able to like, okay, I don't have to move, it's more of a want for me, like that's a different situation than, okay, I have to move. Like, I don't have a choice. Like, I'm going to have to suck this up, or, whatever. Like, I just think.
See everything that you're dealt with and can handle it in a different way.
Yeah.
But you giving it a good personal, your own perspective of things is huge.
I think it's hard to like, I don't know, just thinking back to even when I worked in orthodontics, like, it's really hard to describe the pain of having braces if you've never had braces before, like, or what it feels like to get your wires changed out or whatever. Like, it's just like, it's hard to explain how something feels if you've never gone through it yourself. And I think it's a valuable thing. Like, I just don't know that I would maybe trust a real estate agent that's just renting. Like, just kidding. But I'm just saying, like, it's just, I think you have to go through that to like, know and appreciate the process of like,
know the feeling.
Yeah. And like the stress that it is, and like applying for a loan or like selling and, that kind of thing. So I think, I've gone through those things. I've sold a house and bought one. And, I just think it makes you a better agent when you've like, when you know, and you can explain how things are because you've gone through it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So let's talk then in the words of like your favorite or worst transaction. Now I want to ask this in like what is something that you took from and learned from, and like maybe the best or the worst?
Okay. So I think of like the most stressful situation I've ever put myself in. And it's my fault, but I really want to, like, I'm a peacemaker. Like, I don't ever want to leave a bad taste in someone's mouth, and sometimes that gets me in trouble. Like, I put myself in not great situations, and so there was one situation where we were getting ready to close, and there was a miscommunication or a misunderstanding on the buyer side. So I was representing the buyer. And I have all the documentation in place of like that I did everything that I should have, but we were getting ready to close, and this client got like a receipt for something, and it wasn't what she thought. So she was expecting something different than what was agreed upon. And it was very clear what was agreed upon. And so I tried to do the right thing, and I offered to pay for this thing to be taken care of. And it just turned into like this big, giant mess. And so looking back at it then, because I had everything in place, like I had done the right thing of like, I had the correct paperwork in place and what was agreed upon, I should have just put my foot down and said, this is what was agreed to. If you're not okay with that, then you can cancel. You'll back out of the offer and you'll lose your earnest money. Like, and this was the day before closing. Like she was getting ready to sign. And so that's what I should have done. And that would have saved me, because I lost this person. Like, this is the one client that I know is not, and this is hard for me to share because it's like, it's very humbling. And like, it's, I don't have this, I've never had this happen before. Like I don't, at least to my knowledge, I don't have unhappy clients. And so this is the one person that I know it didn't end well. And so just being honest and, you know, I think that looking back, I should have said, nope, that's fine. If you wanted this done, that's fine. But that's not what was agreed upon, what you agreed to and what the seller agreed to. And this is what's done. And if you're not cool, then you don't have to buy the house. Yeah. You don't have to buy the house. You'll lose your earnest money. And so that's the route I should have taken versus the route that I did, because it caused me way more stress and headache going the other direction. And I lost the client either way. Yeah. Like there was no,
at the end,
there was no way to keep, whether I went the other direction.
Right.
And that's the way I should have gone. I was trying to prevent that from happening, and it happened anyways. And so looking back on that, I should have just been like, nope, this is what I should have done.
Was it your gut feeling?
No, it took a little bit. Like, and this was in 2020. So this was like my
height.
And this was my first year. Like, you know, that's the thing about real estate too, is I learn something all the time. Like, I think that I don't know everything. I learn something new pretty much every transaction that I do. And so you're always the same. No, it's never the same. And you're learning and growing. And so that was one thing that, I had an unhappy, and that's like really hard for me. Like I said, I'm a people pleaser. Like I want people to be happy. I'm a peacemaker. So like even talking about, and the thought of like, oh my God, I have somebody that's like, doesn't like me, like, or like they had a bad, like that bothers me. Yeah. Like that bothers me. And it's hard to talk about because like, I don't want anybody to know that like this one person had a bad experience.
Sure.
But being honest,
right?
Like that's the one thing that always sticks out to me is,
you know, the customer's always right, but then it's like, sometimes it's not.
And sometimes like, I don't know. That's one thing I've learned too, is that it's okay to say no. Like it's okay to protect myself. Like I don't have to have everybody like me. That's the thing. And that's something that I'm continuously growing on and trying to like be better about, is that like, I don't have to sacrifice the way that I feel or letting people treat me badly because I'm, you know, trying to bend over backwards.
Pushover?
Yeah. Like, and I can be that way.
Oh, that's my definition. People pleaser at A+.
But I think learning to say no is like one of the most freeing things at the same time. It's like really hard, but saying no and just being okay with, you know, the outcome of saying no. And I also like, I'll never make that mistake again. I'll never do that again. I will never put myself in that position ever again. And so it was really crappy and it was really stressful. But again, like, I will never make myself feel like that
in the long run.
Yes, in the long run, it was for the better. Sure. And like I tell myself, like, either way, that person wasn't going to be happy.
No matter what you did.
Nope, no matter what. And so, and you have people like that sometimes. It's just how it goes.
I know.
Yeah.
Tough people. But acceptance. Isn't that the hardest part of it's like grief or, you know, or not grief, but is it grief? What's the acceptance part? Jared's not even paying attention. I was looking at you for guidance. No.
I don't. The only thing I know is like the first sign of like is denial or something.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah. Whatever that phrase is. Yeah.
Do you have a best transaction or most, I guess, memorable, favorable?
So I guess another one, I do several like estate transactions. So like
Tell me
representing.
about your grandma's house.
No,
Oh.
no. That one was hard, but
I know.
I think this was another really challenging one.
Your favorite.
I think my favorite that it was like over, but like also rewarding in the same token.
Sure.
It was an estate, and so this client was referred to me by an attorney,
Oh.
and so it was an estate, and they siblings didn't get along, and that's typically what you run into with an estate. Sometimes you have ones that just they all get along and it's great, but most of the time,
Grief,
there's usually some fighting that happens.
Yeah.
But this one, one of the siblings was like really challenging to deal with. Like she was very mean, very, very mean to me. Like I don't think I've ever been treated like that in my life. But then at the same token, like I still just tried to like be kind and, do my job and be there. Like, cause like you said, grief, like you're going through and you are selling somebody's like family home. Like this was their family home that they were raised in. Their parents lived there for a long time. They've lost their parents. So like I had to just try to remember that like I'm getting the brunt of something else. I'm not really the problem. I'm getting the brunt of the problem. Like I'm the one that's being taken out of. Yeah. And so, finally at the end, like it was a long, long road of like this nasty, like nastiness.
Oh no.
And so I got this person flowers at closing, or not at closing, but when we closed, and the last day that they had the house, I took him to her, and I'll never forget. She said to me when I gave her the flowers, she like looked at him, she held him up, and she looked at him for a minute. She's like, "Oh, I think I'm going to give these to somebody else." And I was like, "Okay, I'm done." Like, I just was like, okay, yeah, I had to I just sat there for a minute to like process. And then after it closed, I got a card in the mail from her. And she told me she decided to keep the flowers, and they were very beautiful. It was a very kind gesture. And so like, that was one where it's like, I think it just, like I said, you're usually getting the brunt of an underlying issue that you're not the issue. Like, so I think it's those situations, like really the hard ones are the ones that are the most rewarding because they take a lot of your energy. They're hard, but like you're also helping people navigate through really hard situations like divorces. Not fun, but in the end, like,
but you're adjusting, like even maybe your like lingo or how you educate people or like your work style. I mean, because it could change like how you think about things too. It's how, if they're treating you this certain way, but oh wow.
Yeah. So that was one I guess my favorite one that it was over. I don't know. I think of like, there was one time that I was in the house when these clients like told their parents they were expecting, and that was kind of special.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. Like,
that's fun.
I don't know. There's like each transaction is just so different, but like that was one, those ones that are like really hard and you like want to throw in the towel so badly. And, like I say that, it's not worth being treated poorly, but like those situations are just a little bit different because for the most part, I'm willing, like I've just accepted the fact that, like I said, they're going through something.
So many other emotions at play.
Yeah.
Just.
And especially, like, I can't imagine losing my parents and, like, trying to sell and, like, you're going through all their belongings. Like, it's just, it's an emotional thing. And so, those situations are usually the most rewarding. And they're my favorite to be done. And they're, but in the same sense, like I was not expecting that card. I fell out of my chair, honestly, when I got it because I thought she hated my guts. And so. Yeah, but that was a good one. So,
is there anything that you would like give anybody advice that will end up needing in the future about those situations? Or
I would say, I think just be gracious, like, and not everybody has that in them. But I think like I was just saying that, I think just being aware that I think in any situation, like people treating you poorly is usually something else going on. Like or they're just not a nice person. Like that could be the case too. But I think those situations like probate or estates, just being gracious with people and like, because they are challenging situations to deal with. But you know,
I just try to think of maybe preparing my kids. Like
that's a really good point.
You know?
Like how to set up, you know, I've been lucky. And I get a little bit confused with the probate stuff because most of the time people come to me like with probate done. And so
not in the middle of.
sometimes it happens in the middle, but like, you know, yeah, I think it is very important to have a will. And yeah, that's a really good point of like
Written documentation.
a will and how property is being transferred or getting stuff set up in like a living trust or a trust and having trustees. And it sounds like a lot, but I think it definitely makes it
It's a lot burden.
Oh yeah, for your kids when you move on.
Well, and I don't want to think, you know, my kids are still young, you know.
You got a long time.
But, you know,
Being prepared.
being prepared.
I think is where probably a lot of the roadblocks happen is that people aren't prepared.
Like, well, and it just sets you back even like timeline wise if you're like, oh yeah, I want to get this done within, you know, but I just
you're not through a probate.
Yeah.
I
haven't had to deal with anything like that. Student loans. I don't know why this. I can't think of this. Student loans.
Hindrances.
Grief.
Yeah.
Let's talk about student loans. It's like when before we weren't, you know, it wasn't something that we were like adding in as a debt because there was nothing, you know. But now it's, you know, we still have to. There's only a certain percentage, but now everyone's starting to have to pay it back, and it's just that. You didn't plan. No one planned. And then no one kept paying on it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that stuff's crazy.
Can I ask a weird question?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Do you still have student loans?
No.
Oh, good.
I got really lucky. Like,
oh, you had volleyball, right?
No,
didn't you get?
So, no, I walked on when I played volleyball.
Oh, you
but
did.
I had a lot of grants and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Like,
through school. Yeah.
So
okay. I knew you had something.
I didn't really have. No, I like
volleyball.
Yeah, I feel very lucky that I did not have a ton of student debt. Like,
did you imagine like where you would be if you went to school? I
know. I think about that all the time. Like,
what if you kept with the dentist or the?
I know it's just, you know, weird. Like, do you ever think about that as far as if I went down this path? Like, I think about it. I'm like, okay, if I did this, would I have my kids that I have now?
Right.
Like, would your life have still gone?
Right.
Like, it's so I do think about that like if I would have done XYZ, would I wouldn't have. And that's probably the biggest thing of like why I don't ever look back and like regret anything is because I'm like, I wouldn't have my kids.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't probably have the kids that I have. I mean, I probably have different kids and I love them too. But like thinking about having different kids than what you have now
isn't that weird?
It makes your brain hurt.
It does. Well, and I just, you know, think a lot of the stuff that I've gotten into in my life has been given, like brought to me. It's not like I've actually actively like kind of went out and I don't know. Do you feel like that in the business? Like you were in it and it just kind of led you into being the individual? Because you were only an assistant.
Yeah, I was.
Were you a licensed assistant?
Yes. Yeah. So when I started, it was like, I don't know, 6 months before I had my license, something like that. And so.
But you got like, you were in the trenches. You knew stuff.
So yeah, I think that made a big difference for me. You know, knowing that stuff. Like, are you asking about like how I've gotten business in the past?
No, just like learning maybe the ins and outs.
Yeah, I don't know that I would have been able. Yeah. Like, I look back at that and I don't know that things would have been the same for me if I wouldn't have started there. Yeah. I just don't. I don't think I would have because I just learned so much and it really never was my intention to go out on my own either. Like that was not. Everything has just kind of happened. Like the cards have landed as they may, or whatever the phrase is, but
not forced. It's not.
Yeah. So just, I think things would have been a lot different, and that's where I give a lot of props to agents who like are coming into the business and starting brand new, like not knowing anything at all, because like I said earlier, I came into this with. Not coming in the real estate industry, but going into like being out on my own as an individual agent knowing contracts and how to talk to people and how to stage and like showings and all those things that like a new agent's handling those things and also trying to build their business at the same time. And so I guess I thought of another thing I'd give advice to people is if I had anything, one thing I would say is to really just focus on building like your database for people, like your clientele. Because I think when you have that set up versus like, I know that so many people are chomping at the bit to get going and like do deals and they want to do this, but I feel like that to me is the pillar of being successful and like starting your business out on the right foot is like having all of your people in one place so you can like properly communicate with them and then focus on like going out and learning the contracts, because once you've established your business and started to build onto that, then I feel like you can focus more and you're not trying to do two things at once. You're like, okay, I've got my people set up and ready to go. Now I can focus on really learning the contracts and doing those things. I think
that's good.
I don't know. I just think that's how I kind of started with KW was like, okay, I'm not going to worry so much about doing like a transaction. And it's different for everybody too, because like, you know, my husband works at the mill. And so we had income still. So for some people, that's not always an option. I feel grateful that was for me, that we were able to, you know, kind of get started that way. And like, I really just was like, I need to focus on, you know, getting XYZ set up. And then I'll go after.
Not all at once.
So, yeah. Like I wanted to know how things worked and how I'm going to get my business and get those things up and running, and then not try to figure it out as I went. So you're like juggling a million, like trying to figure out 3 things at once, you know? So.
Right. And well, we met earlier and we went over 2024 goals and we did all sorts of stuff. And that's one of the things that I kind of feel like I am in, where I'm trying to do it all. But you know, I would rather have someone ask me a question that I can get back to them later with the correct answer than spit something out that's not, you know, but building that structure first, the foundation. As you will.
I think the foundation, because it's like, if you don't have that set up, then it's not, I think it's really hard to properly serve people. And like, if you're trying to build a business on something that's like not solid and set up the right way, like it's just
right.
And I think that when you're, I don't know, I just think it hinders being able to take care of people the right way, you know? Like,
absolutely. So. Speaking of 2024, which is in
like 5 days.
Oh my gosh, that's
3 days.
3 days. You say 5 days. I wish it was still 5. It's the 27th.
And there's 31 days. 31 days.
4.
Not a math person. Not a math
Numbers
person.
on the top.
Yeah.
What are some, or do you have anything that you'd like to share as a 2024 goal?
Yeah, I think my average transaction and like the number of people that I help a year is usually between 35 and 40. So like I said, having the baby and stuff this year, I didn't hit that this year. But I'm like ready to hit the ground running and do that.
New fresh start.
Yep.
New journey.
New office. Like, it's like
that's exciting.
New phone, who dis? Except I don't have
it. You don't have a new phone. Same phone.
Same phone. But yeah, I think I have to like iron things out a little bit more, but that's like,
sure.
I want to help like 40 families this year. That's really, it's a good number for me. I like
it's good.
Number.
Yeah.
Even number's good. Yep. Even number's good. So.
Are you one of those volume people or like, it has to be on an even or non-number? Do you remember that?
Oh yes. Like in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm one of those people.
I noticed
like 20 or 25. I don't know how loud. I mean, that's probably pretty loud in my car, but like, I feel like
I noticed
like it can't be
the
like
seat, the heat.
Oh,
and the tent was all 77. I was like, oh.
That wasn't on purpose.
Oh.
No,
I thought that was funny.
No.
I was on the drive home. I was like,
No, that wasn't on purpose, but like the volume, like I usually put it on like a good
number. 25 is my favorite number.
Yeah. Oh.
That's little did you know.
Yeah. Isn't that Michael Jordan's number? Oh no, he's 23. Not a sports person either. Yeah. Not math, not science.
I wish I was 25.
Not sport. Don't talk to me.
What do you like?
What do I like? Well,
Outside of
I do like
real estate.
I like volleyball.
Mhm.
Like love volleyball. I like to read. I do enjoy like the self-help books, like motivational type things. Like I do enjoy that. My kids, we camp, fish,
Outdoorsy.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Snowboarding, I haven't been. I think the last time I went was probably with you, like years. Yeah,
Bluewood.
probably.
There's no snow.
And my board needed to be waxed, so it was an absolute cluster.
I know. I remember
No,
that.
did we go to Cottonwood?
Oh, my car got stuck. We were in Grangeville, and my car got stuck. And Brian had to go get the tractor.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun
Good
day.
times.
It was. I remember because it was like they didn't groom.
Yeah, and
it
it was like my board needed to be waxed.
sticky.
It was very
I do
sticky.
remember that.
And my boots were hurting my feet, and like it just was. Yeah, no, I need to go again. Yeah, snowboarding. Yeah, that's
Being
we like vacationing.
yes,
We enjoy
yes. You're
traveling.
Are you beach or mountain? I mean, I
like
know
both.
you in both.
Yeah, I like both. I don't know.
There's even split.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With you being you're a local.
Yeah.
Outskirts local.
Uh-huh.
Genesee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Woohoo, you're weird. No.
Sure am.
Do you feel it gives you kind of an advantage not being like an outsider, but even on the outskirts?
I don't know about an advantage. I think that like I don't know how, but I just feel like I know a lot of people. Like I knew a lot of people in high school. Like I used to come down to Lewiston all the time. Like
Everyone thought you were from.
everyone thought I was from Lewiston. Yeah. Like I remember somebody asked me if I was going to the class reunion. I was like, you do realize I didn't go to school with you, right?
Yak dance.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Who didn't go to yak dances?
Darrow?
Yeah. Did you go to yak dances?
You did? Were you in the back?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The wallflower.
Yes. He stood along the wall.
Yeah. No, yak dances.
I was on Yak committee just so I didn't have to pay to get in.
So
Handed out water.
yeah, that wouldn't have meant anything to me because I didn't go to school there. So but yeah. No, as far as advantage, I don't think so. I mean, I enjoy like still being a part of like the like contributing to Genesee and that community. And like I know because playing sports and stuff, like I knew people from other
And your family.
areas too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I think maybe if anything, it just opened up. I have more connections. So
Sure.
maybe that's an advantage.
Yeah.
Like I'm familiar with all those areas because I used to go there when I was in school and stuff. But yeah, I think just as far as connections and stuff go, maybe. Yeah.
Listings. Did I ask that? I might have asked this earlier today if you had like a dream listing.
A dream listing. Maybe the one where the seller like 100% listened to everything I said and did exactly as I told him to do. That would be a dream listing.
That would.
But I don't know that I've had one of those. I usually get a little bit of pushback from people.
Sure.
I don't know. I really do have great clients. Like I have some clients right now that they listen. Like I've made recommendations on things to change and like painting and those kinds of
Finer
things.
touches.
Yeah, like it's stuff that like nobody wants to do, but honestly, those things can make a big impact. And so, you know, they haven't told me to like completely kick rocks yet. So
There you go.
so I think I really do have great clients. Like I know that I do have clients that if I told them to do stuff,
Sure.
like I'm joking, that would be, but I feel like there is
Keep an
certain
open
things.
mind.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know that I could think back on one listing where there wasn't some sort of negotiating on something as far as like the price or,
Right.
you know, okay, well, I don't want to do this. I probably have had that. I don't know, but that's the dream. The dream
That would
listing.
be no matter location.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
care the size.
Yeah. No, as long as you listen to what I tell you to do, like that's the dream. But as far as like house, like I don't know.
Or area.
I don't know. Out by like Cougar Ridge and stuff, like those are really great listings. They don't come up very often. Like
Right.
that's super like Harvest Vista.
Are they even building out there still? Yeah, they are. Oh, I don't know.
Cougar Ridge, I think, is not as rapid as Harvest Vista, but
Sure.
yeah, there's still stuff being built out there. So
Interesting. They're all different. They're never really the same.
those are the nice thing about those out there is like you're in the county, so your
Yeah.
taxes are a little bit less.
You're on a well.
It's like a community well out there, and the lot sizes are pretty decent sized, like you usually have, but they do have like restrictions and stuff. Like not anything, not super crazy, but
It's like HOA.
I think that they talk about doing HOA, but I don't know that there's like one in place or that you pay for.
Sure.
Like the Elks has certain areas of the Elks Edition have HOA that you
Homeowners insurance is HOA.
homeowners insurance.
Isn't that what HOA is?
No,
Homeowners Association.
Yeah,
I fixed my aim.
hey, that's okay. It's fine. It's fine. No,
Dare won't even cut this if I ask him to.
it's fine. Yeah, HOA is homeowners association.
HOI
is
homeowners insurance.
There you go. See, honest mistake.
It's late.
It would happen to anybody. Anybody would have done. It's fine.
My A's, my eyes.
Yeah,
Eyes.
it's a vowel. It's a vowel. You just gotta mix it up a little bit. It's fine.
Oh, well, I don't know how much time has gone by.
I don't either.
It flies. You know, when we sit here, Daryl? I don't know either.
This is 124.
Do you have anything else, that I'm missing or that you're like, I want you to ask me this?
I don't think so.
No?
I feel like
I'm excited to see. Probably.
Oh, it had the hour 40 on there. That's the hour 20. So
Oh, close. Wonderful. Well, I won't cut it. I want to thank you. For being a lifelong friend with me, and getting you on here.
Yeah.
It's been a build up.
yeah.
I felt like I was like, I don't know, am I gonna sound dumb? I don't want to act weird with you either, but I wanted it to be authentic.
Yeah.
Us.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
is there anything that you feel that this could improve?
I don't think
You
so.
like?
Yeah. No, it was fun.
You enjoy?
Yeah. Yeah. I think Darren needs to leave in some of the stuff at the beginning. Like,
Oh,
just-
no.
Yeah. No, I'm like, people need to see the real Gen A.
Yeah. Yeah. Brittany. Anyway, I really want to thank you. Let's cheers.
Cheers.
And this end of 2023.
Yes. Cheers. Cheers.